Daughters of the Most High, you were not created to be confused, used, or abused. You were born with purpose, designed by heaven, crowned with dignity. But in a world that has lost its moral compass, many men have risen to wear the mask of love but carry the spirit of deception. There is a kind of man whose words are sweet, but his intentions are sour. He doesn't come to build you, he comes to break you subtly. His goal is not to lead you into purpose, but to pull you into a pit of compromise. You must be alert in this hour, because not every man who finds you is sent by God. Some are sent by the enemy to delay your assignment. An evil man is not always violent, but he is always manipulative. He studies your heart so he can weaken your mind. He knows how to speak your language, not because he values you, but because he wants access to your gift. He is attracted to your fruit, but refuses to cultivate your soil. He praises your body, but ignores your soul. This is not love, it's spiritual robbery. And if you are not discerning, you will call it affection when it's really distraction. God never gives you to a man who has no vision. A man without vision will ask for your submission without giving you direction. That is not order, that is disorder. And disorder always brings destruction. You were not created to follow someone walking in circles. You are not a decoration for his ego. You are a helper for his destiny. If he has no divine destiny, you have nothing to help. There is a kind of man who hides behind charm but lacks character. He will say everything right but live everything wrong. He will post scriptures on his profile but won't submit to the scripture in his heart. He talks about marriage but not about sacrifice. He mentions God but he does not fear him. Be careful. Charm can attract you, but only character can cover you. When a man begins to isolate you from your fans, your mentors, your church, he is not protecting you. He is preparing to control you. Any man who pulls you out of alignment with God's order is pulling you out of your covering. Isolation is not intimacy. It is often the beginning of spiritual captivity. The devil isolates before he devours. And lastly, if a man flees accountability, he is not ready for responsibility. If he cannot be corrected, he cannot be trusted. God does not raise rebels, he raises sons. And if he is not submitted to anyone, he is a danger to everyone. Don't trust a man who doesn't trust God's authority. For the way he submits to God will one day determine how he covers you. Daughter of God, you are too valuable to settle for counterfeits. The real thing will never confuse you. The man God sends will not break you, shame you, rush you, or manipulate you. He will honor your calling, guard your purity, and confirm what God already whispered in your spirit. Don't ignore the signs. Discern them, know them, and protect your crown. But you are not just a woman, you are a daughter of destiny, and destiny must be defended. Evil men understand something very dangerous. They know that the heart of a woman is tender, responsive, and wired to nurture. They study emotions not so they can cherish them, but so they can use them as tools of manipulation. These are not men seeking love. They are seeking control. They don't pursue you to cover you. They pursue you to consume you. Their words are designed not to heal, but to hook. They say what you long to hear, not because they mean it, but because they want something from you. And once they gain access to your emotions, they begin to twist your reality. They make you question your worth, not by direct attack, but by subtle withdrawal. They give you just enough attention to keep you hoping, yet pull back enough to keep you insecure. One day they admire you, the next they ignore you, and in between they make you believe it's your fault. This emotional push and pull is not accidental. It's strategic. Because if they can destabilize your emotions, they can quietly take the throne of your soul. Love does not control. It sets free. But these men operate in a counterfeit spirit. They feed off your longing for connection and manipulate it into dependency. They don't lead you closer to God. They lead you deeper into confusion. They apologize to keep you quiet, not because they're repentant. They offer affection without commitment, words without action, and promises without follow through. And once they sense you're fully entangled, they no longer need to pretend. That's when the manipulation becomes clearer, but by then, many women feel too emotionally invested to walk away. This is not love. This is spiritual warfare disguised as romance. These men are not after your heart to protect it. They are after your emotions to control them. There is a kind of man who knows how to make you feel desired, but not truly valued. He will compliment your beauty, your curves, your smile, but he will never inquire about your calling, your convictions, or your connection with God. He sees your body as a prize, but ignores your spirit, which is the true essence of who you are. This is not honor. This is idolatry masked as interest. He puts your physical presence on a pedestal, but your soul is left starving. And the danger is, if you've been empty long enough, attention can feel like affection and flattery can feel like love. To honor the body while dishonoring the spirit is to reduce a woman to what she looks like, not who she is. It is to place value on her flesh while silencing her voice. These men don't want the weight of your wisdom. They want the warmth of your presence. They don't ask about your purpose. They ask when you're free. They don't lead you in prayer. They lead you into compromise. Because when a man is driven by lust, he cannot see your identity. He only sees his own desire. And when desire is detached from purpose, it always leads to destruction. God created you with both beauty and depth. Your body is a temple, but your spirit is the altar where God speaks. Any man who bypasses your spirit to pursue your body is out of divine order. He may touch your hand, but he cannot handle your heart. He may be drawn to your figure, but he is blind to your future. This is not a man who can cover you. It is a man who will uncover you. And once you are uncovered, you are no longer protected, but exposed. There are men who love to speak of destiny because it sounds noble, powerful, and spiritual. They'll talk about purpose, calling, vision, and greatness. They will even use godly language, quoting scripture, prophesying dreams, declaring a future filled with impact and influence. But listen closely, and you will see the contradiction. While they speak of destiny, they run from the weight of divine responsibility. They want the platform, but not the process. They desire the crown, but reject the cross. They dream of leadership, but resist accountability. This is not spiritual maturity, it is spiritual illusion. A man who truly carries destiny understands that with great purpose comes great responsibility. He knows that his first call is to submit to God, to walk in obedience, and to carry his role with integrity. But the man who only wants to talk about destiny is usually trying to impress you, not prepare himself. He may tell you that you're part of his future, but he won't take responsibility for protecting your present. He'll speak of building an empire, but won't commit to building a solid foundation. He'll cast a vision with his lips, but avoid the discipline required to manifest it with his life. This type of man uses destiny as a decoration, not a direction. He sees it as a badge, not a burden. And when a man avoids divine responsibility, he becomes a danger to anyone who follows him. Because without submission to God, his ambition becomes reckless. Without humility, his dreams become delusions. And without responsibility, his leadership becomes manipulation. You must discern the difference between a man who's led by God and a man who simply knows how to speak the language of purpose. One will cover you in alignment. The other will carry you into confusion. There is a kind of man who demands submission yet offers no vision. He wants a woman to follow him, to honor him, to support him, but he has no clear direction for his own life, let alone for a shared future. This is not divine order. Submission was never meant to be about control. It was always meant to be about alignment with purpose. A woman was created to be a helper, but help is only needed where there is something to build, something to protect, something to lead. And when there is no vision, there is nothing to help, only confusion to carry. A man who is truly called by God does not demand submission. He earns it through sacrifice, leadership, and consistency. He provides vision because he has submitted himself to God's authority. He understands that he cannot lead a woman if he has not first allowed himself to be led by the Spirit. But the man who bypasses this divine principle is operating out of ego, not purpose. He wants the benefits of your loyalty without bearing the weight of responsibility. He wants to be honored as a king, but refuses to build a kingdom. This is dangerous because submission without vision is slavery in disguise. It traps a woman in a cycle where she is constantly pouring out, constantly adjusting, constantly giving, but never receiving clarity. never receiving direction, never feeling secure. And slowly she loses her identity trying to serve a man who doesn't even know where he's going. God never designed submission to function in isolation. It is always tied to vision. When a man offers vision, he invites partnership. When he demands submission without it, he seeks dominance. Daughters of God, you are not called to follow confusion. You are called to walk in covenant with purpose. There are men who walk into your life with smooth words, radiant smiles, and polished manners. They know how to say all the right things at the right time. They are charming, persuasive, and magnetic. But behind the charm, there is often a void and absence of character, conviction, and consistency. Charm may open doors, but it is character that keeps them open. And if you fall for charm without testing character, you may find yourself connected to a man whose heart has no foundation. Charm is external, it's performance. It can be learned, practiced, and faked. But character is internal. It is who a man is when no one is watching. A man of charm will impress you with what he says. A man of character will stabilize you with what he does. The one can move your emotions, the other will anchor your soul. But the danger is, in a culture that glorifies appearance over authenticity, many daughters of God have been taught to celebrate charisma while ignoring the absence of integrity. The man who hides behind charm doesn't want to be truly known. He wants to be admired from a distance. He avoids accountability. He explains away his inconsistencies. He deflects instead of repents. He uses his words as a shield to avoid the mirror of truth. He presents a version of himself that looks whole, but his private life is fractured. He talks about values, but doesn't live them. He tells you about his dreams, but ignores his habits. And the tragedy is, if you are not careful, you will fall in love with potential instead of fruit. You'll be drawn to the illusion of who he could be while ignoring the reality of who he is. Charm may excite your flesh, but only character can lead your spirit. Without character, charm becomes a mask for manipulation. There is a strategy the enemy has used since the beginning: separate, then subdue. And some men, knowingly or unknowingly, operate in this same spirit. They isolate you not because they want to protect you, but because they want to control you. They disconnect you from your family, your friends, your mentors, your church, anyone who might see what you're too emotionally entangled to discern. They call it love. They call it closeness. They say it's just me and you. But in reality, it's a slow and subtle removal of your safety net so that your only reference becomes them. This is not intimacy, it's imprisonment. Isolation is never God's way of forming covenant. God brings people together through community, counsel, and confirmation. But evil men pull you away from covering so that you can no longer hear truth. They don't want you surrounded by voices that will ask hard questions. They don't want you encouraged by women who know your worth. They don't want you growing, learning, or seeing clearly. Because once you're isolated, your vision becomes blurry, your confidence weakens when your dependence on them increases. They use silence as punishment, distance as manipulation, and secrecy as control. And soon you begin to second guess yourself. You shrink to keep peace. You stop reaching out. You stop being you. And all of this is done in the name of love, when in truth it's fear disguised as care. It's not about building with you, it's about owning you. But you were never created to be owned. You were created to be honored. God never removes your voice to validate someone else's. Any relationship that requires isolation to survive is not healthy, it's harmful. Real love connects you deeper to God and aligns you with your purpose, not with someone's ego. If he needs you alone to keep you, then he's not keeping you, he's caging you. There is a dangerous pattern among men who carry the appearance of strength but lack the substance of submission. They flee accountability because they refuse to be corrected. They reject God's authority because they want to be their own God. These are men who despise covering, who resist instruction, and who live without spiritual alignment. And a man who cannot be led by God is not fit to lead anyone else, not in marriage, not in purpose, not in life. Accountability is protection, not punishment. It is God's way of keeping a man grounded, humble, and growing. But when a man avoids accountability, it reveals a heart that refuses to mature. He surrounds himself with silence instead of counsel. He dismisses voices of wisdom and surrounds himself with people who applaud his rebellion. He thinks independence is power. But in the kingdom, independence without submission is rebellion. And rebellion, no matter how gifted it looks, is always destructive. When a man rejects God's authority, he sets himself on a throne that does not belong to him. He becomes led by impulse instead of instruction. He follows emotions rather than truth. He begins to shape his own version of righteousness, one that allows him to live however he pleases, while demanding that others adjust. He quotes scripture but won't live it. He prays when it's convenient, obeys when it benefits him, and leads from ego instead of spirit. A man like this is not just dangerous to himself, he's dangerous to anyone who follows him. Because where there's no accountability, there can be no growth. Where there is no submission, there is no true leadership. And when a man rejects God's authority, he has no compass, no anchor, and no covering. He becomes a drifting soul, passionate but unstable, persuasive but unrooted, charming but empty. And when storms come, he will not stand, and neither will those who have tied their future to his. Daughters of God, you were never created to settle for anything less than what God has ordained for you. You are daughters of the Most High, called to walk in purpose, dignity, and divine protection. The world may present you with counterfeit love, empty promises, and men who seek to manipulate, control, and deceive, but you must stand firm in the truth of who you are and whose you are. Do not allow yourself to be deceived by charm without character, by visions without responsibility, or by men who want your submission without offering you vision. Do not fall into the trap of isolation that seeks to dominate your spirit, nor follow the lead of men who flee from accountability and reject God's authority. You are worthy of a man who honors your spirit, who protects your heart, and who submits to the leadership of God over his life. You are worthy of a relationship that builds you, that aligns with your divine purpose, and that strengthens your faith. Know the signs. Be discerning. And above all, protect the treasure God has placed within you. You were made for so much more than to be used, manipulated, or controlled. You were made to walk in your full divine purpose, to shine with the glory of God, to fulfill your destiny, and to stand in victory. Never forget that your value is not defined by the words of man, but by the calling of God on your life. So rise, stand firm, and walk in the fullness of your identity as a daughter of God. Your future is bright, your purpose is clear, and your best days are ahead. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I am so grateful you have joined me today. And I can't wait to dive into something that has the power to change your life. There's a profound power in knowing who you are. When a woman understands her worth, when she recognizes that her value is inherent, not dependent on the fleeting opinions of others, she becomes a force to be reckoned with. The world is full of people who will try to define you, but only you can truly understand the essence of who you are. And once you tap into that, once you embrace your own identity with confidence and pride, you become irresistible. A woman who knows her worth, who knows she is enough, commands respect in every room she walks into. That is a woman who is bound to be admired, not just by one man, but by many. But knowing your worth is only part of the equation. To be a woman who is every man's dream, you must learn the art of emotional intelligence. To recognize your own feelings and to understand and respect the emotions of others is a gift that builds trust and connection. Men are drawn to a woman who can see them, not just as they are, but as they could be. And that kind of connection doesn't come from just looks or status. It comes from a woman who can feel, who can empathize, who knows how to offer comfort in a world that is often cold. Real strength doesn't come from dominating or controlling others. It comes from within. It's about resilience, about standing tall in the face of adversity, and about being unwavering in your commitment to your own purpose and mission. A woman who is truly strong knows who she is And she stands firm in the midst of life's challenges, never bending to the pressures that seek to change her. She is the pillar of strength, not only for herself, but for those around her. And a man who sees this strength is drawn to it like a magnet. But strength alone is not enough. True greatness comes when that strength is tempered with compassion. A woman who can be both strong and nurturing, who can offer her support without demanding anything in return, becomes the kind of woman a man dreams of. Men look for women who encourage them, who cheer them on as they chase their dreams, who stand by them through thick and thin. The woman who offers love without conditions, who lifts others up when they are down, is the one who will create a bond that cannot be broken. Independence is another key. A woman who knows that her happiness is not tied to anyone else's approval, who is free to walk her own path while still loving and supporting others, creates a dynamic of excitement and freedom. She is not dependent on anyone to feel whole. She is whole within herself, and that sense of completeness makes her even more desirable. She attracts not by clinging, but by standing confidently on her own. Above all, be real. Be authentic. The world is tired of pretenses, of masks. There is an undeniable power in being genuine, in showing up exactly as you are, flaws and all. Men are drawn to women who don't hide behind facades. They want the woman who is brave enough to show her true self, who isn't afraid to be vulnerable, and who understands that in being real, she gives the most precious gift of all: trust. To be every man's dream woman, it's not about trying to fit a mold or meet some external expectation. It's about knowing yourself, strengthening your inner being, supporting others, and remaining true to who you are. When you do this, you won't just become the woman of someone's dreams. You'll become the woman of your own dreams. And in that, you will find the fulfillment, respect, and love that you deserve. Knowing your worth is the cornerstone of confidence and personal strength. It's the deep, unshakable belief that you are valuable, not because of what others think or say about you, but because you inherently possess qualities that make you unique. It's understanding that your worth is not determined by your past mistakes, your failures, or your circumstances. It is rooted in the realization that you are a creation of purpose, designed with qualities and potential that no one else can replicate. When you know your worth, you stop seeking external validation. You stop waiting for approval from others to feel worthy. This shift in perspective is powerful. Instead of living to meet the expectations of others, you live to fulfill the calling of your own heart, guided by your own internal compass. You do not need to be like anyone else, because you know that being true to yourself is the only way to fulfill your potential. This awareness allows you to set boundaries that protect your peace and mental well-being. You understand that your time, energy, and attention are precious, and you no longer allow others to waste them. You realize that you deserve respect and kindness, and you demand it by not accepting anything less. Knowing your worth means you don't compromise on your values for anyone. You are confident enough to say no when necessary, to walk away from situations that don't serve you, and to stand firm in your beliefs regardless of external pressures. It's a state of being that emanates outward, influencing how you interact with the world and how the world responds to you. It's the foundation on which everything else in your life is built. Emotional intelligence is the ability to understand, manage, and express emotions in a way that fosters positive relationships and personal growth. It starts with self-awareness, the ability to recognize and comprehend your own feelings in any given moment. When you can identify your emotions, you gain control over them instead of being controlled by them. This understanding allows you to respond to situations rather than react impulsively, creating a sense of calm and clarity in even the most challenging circumstances. Equally important is self-regulation, the ability to manage your emotions constructively. This doesn't mean suppressing your feelings, but rather expressing them appropriately and in a balanced way. Emotional intelligence allows you to channel your emotions in ways that are productive and beneficial, not destructive. Whether it's finding a healthy outlet for stress, practicing patience in the face of frustration, or learning how to express anger without harm, emotional regulation empowers you to handle emotions with grace and maturity. Empathy is another crucial aspect of emotional intelligence. It is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, to see the world from their perspective, and to respond with compassion and support. A person with high emotional intelligence doesn't just focus on their own needs, but recognizes the emotions and needs of those around them. This creates a deeper connection and trust in relationships, as people feel heard, understood, and valued. Finally, emotional intelligence involves social skills, the ability to interact and communicate effectively with others. It means knowing how to inspire, motivate, and lead, while also being able to resolve conflicts and navigate complex social dynamics. The combination of self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, and social skills allows you to build strong, healthy relationships in all areas of life. Here, developing inner strength is not about becoming immune to life's challenges or hardships. It is about cultivating the resilience to face them with courage, grace, and determination. Inner strength comes from understanding that adversity is not an obstacle, but an opportunity to grow. It is rooted in a deep belief in your own ability to navigate through life's uncertainties, knowing that no matter how difficult the situation, you have the resources within you to overcome it. The foundation of inner strength is self-awareness. When you are aware of your thoughts, feelings, and responses, you can more effectively manage them during times of struggle. This awareness allows you to understand your fears, doubts, and insecurities without being overwhelmed by them. Instead of succumbing to fear, you can acknowledge it, process it, and use it as a tool to fuel your growth. Another critical component of inner strength is perseverance. It's the ability to keep going even when things are difficult or seem impossible. It's about refusing to give up, not because you're certain of success, but because you believe in your own power to keep moving forward despite the obstacles. This perseverance doesn't come from an absence of fear or pain, but from the determination to push through them, knowing that the journey is just as important as the destination. Along with perseverance, inner strength is built on self-compassion. You must learn to be gentle with yourself during tough times, recognizing that mistakes and setbacks are a part of life's process. It's about accepting your imperfections, forgiving yourself, and using your experiences as lessons to move forward stronger. Developing inner strength is not about being invulnerable, but about having the ability to rise time and time again with renewed resolve and purpose. Being supportive and encouraging is about offering more than just words. It's about consistently showing up for others, especially during times of need. It involves actively listening, providing a safe space where someone feels heard, and responding with empathy and understanding. Support is not just about offering advice, but about being present and demonstrating that you genuinely care about their well-being. The act of listening without judgment allows others to open up, and it's in those moments that true connection is formed. Encouragement goes beyond simple praise. It's about inspiring belief in someone's abilities, especially when they're doubting themselves. It's about helping them see their potential, even when they cannot see it for themselves. Encouragement can take many forms, whether it's reminding someone of their strengths when they're feeling weak, celebrating their small victories, or offering words of comfort when they face failure. Encouragement acts as a beacon of hope, showing others that despite setbacks, there is always room for growth and improvement. To be supportive and encouraging means offering your time, energy, and attention to uplift others, not out of obligation, but from a place of genuine care. It requires patience and understanding, especially when the person you're supporting may not yet recognize their own value. The power of encouragement lies in its ability to instill confidence and ignite action. It helps others break free from self-doubt, propelling them toward their goals with renewed determination. A supportive and encouraging woman doesn't just provide a shoulder to lean on, she inspires others to believe in themselves and rise above their challenges. She creates an environment where growth is possible and people feel empowered to become the best versions of themselves. Staying independent is a vital aspect of personal empowerment. It's the recognition that your happiness, fulfillment, and sense of purpose are not dependent on anyone else. Independence doesn't mean isolation or avoiding relationships. Rather, it's about maintaining a sense of self-sufficiency where you don't rely on others for validation or to feel complete. It is the ability to stand firm in your own identity, to make decisions that align with your values, and to trust yourself to navigate life's challenges on your own terms. Being independent means having the confidence to walk your own path, regardless of the expectations or opinions of others. It's the inner strength to make choices based on what is right for you, rather than what is expected of you. It's not about rejecting support or love from others, but about recognizing that your sense of worth doesn't depend on someone else's approval. An independent woman knows that her power comes from within, and she doesn't seek to be defined by anyone else's standards. Independence also involves emotional self-reliance. It's about being able to find peace and contentment within yourself, without constantly seeking external sources of validation or affirmation. It's knowing that your happiness is not tied to the actions or opinions of others. This kind of emotional independence allows you to build healthier relationships as you're not seeking to fill healthier relationships. As you're not seeking to fill an emotional independence allows you to build healthier relationships, as you're not seeking to fill an emotional independence of others, but rather offering love and contentment from a place of completeness. Moreover, independence allows you to pursue your dreams and passions without hesitation. It means you are not afraid to take risks or face challenges because you trust in your own abilities to overcome them. It's the belief that you can thrive, not because someone else is there to support you every step of the way, but because you have the strength and capability to chart your own course. Fostering compassion and empathy is about cultivating a deep sense of understanding and care for others, regardless of their circumstances or background. Compassion is not simply feeling sorry for someone. It's actively seeking to alleviate their suffering, to offer support, or to provide a kind word when it's needed most. It is rooted in the desire to help, to give of yourself in a way that makes someone else's burden a little lighter. Compassion involves recognizing the humanity in others and responding to their pain with tenderness, not judgment. Empathy takes compassion a step further by allowing you to truly feel what someone else is experiencing. It is the ability to put yourself in another person's shoes, to understand their feelings, and to respond in a way that acknowledges their emotional state. Empathy is the foundation of meaningful connections because it allows people to feel seen, heard, and validated in their emotions. And when you are empathetic, you create a space where others can express themselves freely, knowing they will not be dismissed or judged. A woman who fosters compassion and empathy becomes a beacon of support for those around her. She listens with intention, offering her time and attention to others without rushing to offer solutions or opinions. Sometimes simply being present is the most powerful form of empathy. It is the understanding that every person carries their own struggles, and instead of turning away, you choose to stand alongside them in solidarity. That is why, by fostering these qualities, you create deeper, more meaningful relationships. Compassion and empathy are what allow us to connect beyond surface level interactions and build bonds rooted in mutual respect and understanding. They are the glue that holds communities together and the force that drives us to care for one another in times of need. Grace is the best skill that can bridge gender. Being genuine and authenticity is about showing up in the world as your true self without pretense or disguise. It is about embracing who you are, flaws and all, and understanding that you don't need to fit into anyone else's mold to be valuable. Authenticity begins with self-acceptance, recognizing that your unique experiences, perspectives, and qualities are what make you whole. When you are genuine, you stop pretending to be something you're not, and you allow others to see the real you. This vulnerability invites deeper connections and fosters trust because people are naturally drawn to those who are unapologetically themselves. When you live authentically, you are not bound by societal expectations or the fear of judgment. You act in alignment with your values and beliefs, not based on what is popular or what others expect from you. Authenticity is about making decisions from a place of personal truth, not from a desire to please or impress others. It's about being able to say no when necessary, to express your true feelings without fear of rejection, and to pursue your passions without second-guessing yourself. Being genuine means that your actions and words align. There's no disconnect between what you say and what you do. You live with integrity, and people can count on you to be honest, transparent, and consistent. In a world where many wear masks to fit in, those who are authentic stand out. They are trustworthy and reliable because their intentions and actions are always aligned with who they truly are. Authenticity brings clarity to relationships, helping you attract the right people into your life and letting go of those who cannot accept you for who you are. To be every man's dream woman, you must first be your own dream. Cultivate a deep understanding of your worth, develop emotional intelligence, and build inner strength that is unshakable. Be supportive and encouraging, not just for others, but for yourself as well. Stand firm in your independence and know that your happiness is yours to create. Foster compassion and empathy, showing the world that your heart is open, and remain authentic, never afraid to show the world who you truly are. When you embody these qualities, you don't just become someone's dream, you become the living example of what it means to live with purpose, authenticity, and power. This is the woman who commands respect, attracts love, and inspires greatness in others. Hello everyone, and welcome back. I am so grateful you have joined me today, and I can't wait to dive into something that has the power to change your life. There is something undeniable about a woman who understands her worth. She walks into a room, and without a word, she commands respect, not because she demands it, but because she embodies it. The essence of a woman who is truly respected by men is not found in beauty, charm, or wealth. It is found in her understanding of herself, her purpose, and the unshakable principles she lives by. A woman who respects herself first teaches the world how she should be treated. When a woman knows who she is, she will never settle for less than what she deserves. She does not beg for respect, she embodies it. She does not chase validation. She stands firm in the knowledge that she is valuable, not because of what she has, but because of who she is. Strength is not just about being independent, it is about being wise. A strong woman is not led by emotions, but by wisdom. She understands when to speak and when to listen. She does not react in anger, but responds with clarity. This kind of woman is not controlled by circumstances. She rises above them. Boundaries are not barriers. They are the framework of respect. A woman who is deeply respected by men is one who knows where to draw the line. She does not entertain disrespect. She does not allow manipulation. She understands that saying no is not rejection but protection. A woman without boundaries is like a city without walls. Anyone can come in and take what they want. But a woman who stands by her principles builds a fortress of dignity that only the worthy may enter. Her words carry weight, not because they are loud, but because they are wise. She speaks with purpose, not to impress, but to express truth. She does not engage in foolish arguments or seek attention through empty words. Instead, she understands that her voice has the power to build or destroy, to uplift or tear down. And because of that, she chooses to speak with grace, wisdom, and purpose. Men respect a woman who is driven by purpose rather than approval. She does not shrink herself to be liked, nor does she compromise her values to fit in. She walks in the calling set before her with confidence, knowing that she was created for something greater than temporary applause. She understands that her worth is not in the attention of men, but in fulfilling the destiny assigned to her. Love is in her nature, but she does not enable disrespect. She nurtures, but she does not tolerate mistreatment. She understands the difference between being kind and being used. She supports those she loves, but she does not allow them to drain her strength. She knows that true love is built on mutual honor, not one-sided sacrifice. And above all, she carries herself with dignity and class, not because she's trying to impress, but because she understands that how she presents herself is a reflection of how she values herself. She does not degrade herself to fit in. She rises above the standard. She does not compromise her integrity. She upholds it. This kind of woman does not just attract attention, she earns deep and lasting respect. Men may be drawn to beauty, but they deeply respect a woman who carries herself with strength, wisdom, and purpose. And when a woman applies these principles, she does not need to demand respect. It is given to her naturally. Because respect is not something you ask for, it is something you earn by the way you live. A woman who understands her worth does not wait for the world to validate her. She carries her value within her. She does not measure herself by external opinions, temporary circumstances, or societal trends. Her confidence is not rooted in how others see her, but in how she sees herself. When a woman respects herself first, she sets the standard for how others treat her. She does not allow disrespect to take root in her life because she knows she is deserving of honor, kindness, and dignity. Self-respect is reflected in the choices she makes. She does not settle for relationships that diminish her worth, friendships that drain her energy, or environments that compromise her values. She understands that walking away from what does not serve her is not an act of pride, but of wisdom. She is selective with her time, her words, and her presence, because she knows that what she invests in will shape her life. She refuses to be defined by anyone else's expectations, embracing instead the truth of who she is. She understands that respecting herself is not arrogance but self-awareness. She does not apologize for her standards, nor does she lower them to accommodate those who refuse to rise. She values her mind, nurturing it with knowledge and wisdom. She honors her body, treating it with care and not allowing it to be misused or taken for granted. She protects her emotions, ensuring that her heart is not a place where disrespect is entertained. When she walks into a room, her presence speaks before she does. She does not have to demand respect. It follows her naturally. She is confident but not boastful, strong but not harsh, gentle but never weak. Her aura commands admiration, not because she asks for it, but because she has built herself upon the unshakable foundation of self-respect. True strength is not found in physical appearance, loud words, or a hardened heart. It is rooted deep within the soul of a woman who has faced adversity and refused to be broken by it. She understands that challenges are not meant to weaken her, but to refine her. Every obstacle, every disappointment, and every betrayal has shaped her into someone who does not crumble under pressure, but rises above it. She does not allow hardships to define her. Instead, she uses them to fuel her growth. Her strength is not about being emotionless or detached. She feels deeply, but she is not controlled by her feelings. She knows when to express her emotions and when to rise above them. She does not allow temporary pain to dictate permanent decisions. Instead of seeking pity, she seeks wisdom. Instead of blaming others, she takes responsibility for her own healing. She refuses to be a victim of circumstances and instead chooses to be victorious over them. She stands firm in her beliefs, unmoved by the opinions of the crowd. She does not compromise her values for the sake of acceptance. She knows that real strength is not in following trends, but in standing for truth. Even when she stands alone, she is patient in trials, knowing that resilience is built in the waiting. She does not fear failure because she understands that every setback is a setup for a greater comeback. Her strength is quiet but undeniable. She does not need to prove herself to anyone, for she is already assured of her own power. She walks with a grace that speaks louder than words, a confidence that is not boastful but unshakable. She is not just strong, she is unbreakable. A woman who is deeply respected understands that boundaries are not walls that keep people out, but gates that protect her peace, dignity, and self-worth. She knows that if she does not set limits, others will set them for her, often in ways that diminish her value. She is not afraid to say no, not because she lacks kindness, but because she values herself enough to protect her time, energy, and emotions. She understands that boundaries are a reflection of self-respect, not selfishness. She does not allow guilt or pressure to make her compromise her principles. She recognizes that not everyone will appreciate her limits, but she remains firm because she knows that those who truly respect her will honor them. She refuses to engage in toxic relationships where manipulation and disrespect are present. If someone continuously disregards her values, she does not plead for change. She removes herself from the situation. She does not entertain negativity, drama, or unnecessary burdens that disrupt her peace. Her boundaries extend to every area of her life. She does not allow work to consume her to the point of exhaustion. She does not give so much of herself to others that she has nothing left for her own growth. She protects her personal space, her mental well-being, and her emotional stability. She does not explain or apologize for setting limits because she understands that those who belong in her life will not require her to diminish herself. She teaches others how to treat her by what she allows, what she walks away from, and what she refuses to tolerate. She does not enforce boundaries with anger, but with certainty. She does not shout them, she simply lives them. In doing so, she commands deep respect without ever needing to demand it. A woman who's deeply respected understands the power of her words. She does not speak carelessly or impulsively, but with intention, knowing that what she says has the ability to build or destroy, to uplift or wound. She does not seek to be the loudest in the room, for true influence is not found in volume, but in wisdom. She listens before she speaks, ensuring that her words are thoughtful, measured, and purposeful. She understands that silence at the right moment can be more powerful than unnecessary speech. Her communication is not driven by the need to prove herself, but by the desire to bring clarity and understanding. She does not use manipulation, gossip, or harsh words to make a point. Instead, she speaks with honesty and respect, even in disagreement. She knows that correction can be given without condemnation and that truth can be spoken without cruelty. She does not tear others down to elevate herself, but chooses to communicate in a way that reflects her integrity and wisdom. She understands that emotional control is key to effective communication. She does not allow anger or frustration to dictate her words. Even when she is hurt, she responds with grace, refusing to let temporary emotions lead to permanent damage. She values understanding over being right and listens to perspectives without feeling the need to dominate the conversation. When she speaks, people listen not because she demands attention, but because her words carry weight. She does not waste her voice on unnecessary arguments or validation-seeking conversations. Instead, she speaks when it matters, in a way that matters. Her ability to communicate with grace and wisdom commands respect, not because she insists on it, but because she embodies it in every word she speaks. A woman of strength and wisdom understands the balance between nurturing and enabling. She gives love, support, and kindness freely, but never at the cost of her own dignity. She is a safe place for those she cares about, offering encouragement and comfort, but she does not tolerate behavior that disrespects or diminishes her. She understands that true love and care are not about sacrificing herself for others, but about creating relationships built on mutual honor and appreciation. She does not mistake tolerance for love. She knows that allowing mistreatment in the name of patience or kindness is not an act of strength, but of self-neglect. She is compassionate, but she is not a doormat. She can forgive without allowing repeated offenses. She can help without being used. She can be kind without being taken for granted. She understands that people will treat her based on what she allows. So she chooses to set a standard that demands respect. She does not let her nurturing nature become a weakness. She supports growth, but she does not carry burdens that others refuse to take responsibility for. She offers guidance, but she does not impose herself where she is unappreciated. She gives love, but she does not chase after those who consistently devalue her presence. She understands that walking away from a situation that drains her is not selfishness. It is self-respect. Her strength is in her ability to love without losing herself. She nurtures with wisdom, setting clear expectations for how she should be treated. She knows that those who truly value her will respect her boundaries and her heart. And because she refuses to enable disrespect, she attracts relationships that are built on honor, appreciation, and genuine care. A woman who nurtures with wisdom understands that love is not about losing herself to please others. She gives with an open heart, but she does not allow her kindness to be mistaken for weakness. She offers support, but she does not carry the weight of those who refuse to take responsibility for their actions. She understands that genuine care involves uplifting, not enabling, and she refuses to let her compassion become an excuse for others to mistreat her. She recognizes the difference between patience and permissiveness. While she is willing to stand by those she loves through struggles and growth, she does not excuse repeated disrespect. She does not allow others to take her presence for granted, nor does she tolerate mistreatment disguised as love. She gives chances for improvement, but she does not remain in cycles of toxicity. When someone continuously disregards her boundaries, she does not beg for changes, she enforces it. by walking away. She nurtures not only others but also herself. She does not pour into others while leaving herself empty. She understands that self-care is not selfishness but a necessity. And she refuses to sacrifice her peace for relationships that bring only stress and pain. She stands firm in her values, knowing that real love does not require her to diminish herself. She does not fight to be respected. She carries herself in a way that commands it. Her love is strong but never blind. She knows when to stay and when to leave, when to give and when to withhold, when to fight for a relationship and when to let go. She nurtures with wisdom, sets limits with confidence, and ensures that the love she gives is met with the honor and respect she deserves. A woman who lives with dignity and class carries herself with a quiet confidence that needs no validation. She understands that true elegance is not about wealth or appearance, but about character, grace, and self-respect. She does not seek attention by lowering her standards or compromising her values. Instead, she allows her presence, her words, and her actions to reflect a deep sense of self-worth. She walks with purpose, knowing that dignity is not just about how she presents herself to the world, but about how she honors herself when no one is watching. She treats others with kindness, not because she is trying to impress, but because she understands that true class is reflected in how she treats people, regardless of their status. She does not engage in petty arguments or lower herself to negativity. She speaks with intention, choosing words that uplift rather than destroy. She is not easily provoked, for she understands that reacting out of anger or insecurity only diminishes her strength. She remains composed in situations where others may lose control, and in doing so, she commands the respect of those around her. Her dignity is evident in the way she carries herself. She does not seek approval through desperate actions or attention-seeking behavior. She embraces modesty, not as a restriction, but as a mark of self-respect. She does not use manipulation or deception to get what she wants, for she knows that authenticity is far more powerful. She is selective about the company she keeps, surrounding herself with people who uplift and inspire rather than those who bring drama and chaos. She leads by example, proving that a woman of true dignity does not need to demand respect. She naturally receives it. She moves with grace, speaks with wisdom, and lives in a way that inspires others to rise to a higher standard. A woman who applies these principles does not chase respect, it is given to her effortlessly. She does not demand honor, it follows her, because she has built herself upon a foundation of self-worth, wisdom, and integrity. She understands that true power is not found in external validation, but in the way she carries herself, the standards she upholds, and the way she commands her space. Men may admire beauty, but they deeply respect a woman who walks with purpose, speaks with wisdom, and stands firm in her values. She does not settle for less than she deserves, nor does she compromise herself to fit into someone else's expectations. She nurtures without enabling, loves without losing herself, and leads without arrogance. Her presence is undeniable. Her impact is lasting, and her dignity is unwavering. A woman like this does not just inspire admiration, she transforms the atmosphere around her. She challenges others to rise, to be better, and to meet her at the level of excellence she refuses to lower. And in doing so, she does not just earn respect, she becomes unforgettable.